Hello, my name is Roy Smith, and I just wanted to show you my ID. That way you know it's me. Hey, Straighterline, Row here. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is fast food. We're going to talk about where it came from, the origins and the history, and most importantly, why do people love it so much? According to Merriam-Webster, the definition of fast food is of relating to or specializing in food that can be prepared and served quickly. Number two, it's designed for ready availability, use, or consumption, and with little consideration given to quality or significance. So, a little brief history of fast food. We don't exactly know the origins of it, but we know it did come about in the past. And one of those places it came about was in ancient Rome. A lot of those folks that lived there, they used to live in multi-story apartment blocks called insulae. They did not have kitchens, so they had to buy their food from food vendors. So they would buy bread soaked with wine, and they would eat stews and cooked vegetables in these like little pop-up restaurants. So also in the Middle Ages, there was a lot of stands that popped up. They sold bread, pies, pastries, waffles, and they would sell these things to the poor or travelers that's just passing through. So when we think of fast food, a lot of us think of fast food restaurants today, such as the A&W behind me here. Now, one of the first hamburger chains to come out was in 1921, and that was a chain called White Castle, one of the first hamburger chains to come out. The owners had opened it up, their first restaurant they had opened in 1916, and they used to sell these really small burgers, and they still do, but they sold them in large quantities. Also, what's pretty interesting is in the 1940s, a lot of automobiles started to become very popular, so a lot of folks were getting cars. The fast food operators they took notice of this very quickly, and they developed what has now become known as the drive-through, very popular. In fact, a lot of fast food operations get most of their sales from drive-throughs today. Now, in addition to hamburgers, there's also such popular fast food items like chicken, Chinese food, sushi, fish and chips, and the list goes on and on. So fast food is not really it's not really just a certain type of food. It can be a lot of different things, but the main thing is the word fast. People want to get in and out, and that's why one of the reasons it was developed for. So as delicious as fast food is, it would not be right of me to not tell you about the other side of the coin here. According to healthline.com, I'm going to put some picture here, but basically eating a high diet of fast food, you can get things such as headaches, depression, acne, dental problems, and just a host of all kinds of bad things. And I don't know if it's really fair to pin the fast food industry on all of this. I think anything in excess can cause a lot of problems for people. So I think moderation is key here. Should we eat it every meal? I will leave that up to you, the viewer. Personally, I enjoy fast food every once in a great while. I don't think I could eat it every meal. It's just a little too much for me. But again, it's very delicious and it's just something I'm not willing to give up. Also, what's interesting, I was reading an article here from today.com about a gentleman named John Cisna. He actually had lost weight on a fast food diet, believe it or not. He had followed a 2,000 calorie diet using the recommended daily allowance of carbs, protein, and fat, and he would walk 45 minutes a day. So when I see stories like this, I'm not 100% convinced that fast food can cause all these ailments. Like again, I think it depends on how much of it you're eating, and if you're exercising or not. But it is interesting to see stories like this as well. Another interesting thing about fast food is when you go to a fast food restaurant, you're going to notice the workers are mostly teenagers. There's a few exceptions out there, but please let me know when you go to a fast food restaurant, at least here in the United States, most of the time, the majority of the workers are teenagers. Every time I go into a fast food restaurant, usually the faces are always different. So I always wondered about this. So I asked a manager that used to work at a McDonald's about this, and what he told me was simply that the fast food worker, they normally are of that age because of the wages. The wages are not they're not terribly high, so they are pretty low, and this falls in line with what I've been seeing. As you're aware, most teenagers or college students, they will go to school and then they will go part time working. So this made a lot of sense to me. Again, it's just very rare that you'll see an older person work there. So that this is kind of an interesting side of the industry with fast food. Also, as of recent, a fast food explosion somewhat has happened with a restaurant chain called Popeye's Chicken. According to CNN.com, a chicken sandwich that apparently is incredible. I haven't tried it myself yet, but I heard it's very good. According to news stories here, people are literally standing in line for hours for this. People have gotten fights about it. It's pretty interesting to say the least. So I'm curious what's in that sandwich, but it's amazing to see that fast food just has a strong hold on a lot of people still. So fast food is a wonderful tool. I feel it really helps a lot of people, and especially in today's society. So many people are busy with work, kids, school, just life in general. And back a long time ago, I say at least a few years ago, right? The 1940s, 1950s, a lot of people used to cook at home. And I think just as we've progressed as a country and then as the world, again, people just don't have time to sit there and cook, not very much anyway. So that's where fast food comes into play. It's just very easy to go right after work, get a fast food meal, take it, bring it home to your family, and you're done. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, a lot of effort. But again, there's a lot of downsides to it too, like we talked about. There could be potential health issues with it. Um, Ultimately, some people view it as a form of laziness that you're not cooking your meals at home. Uh, so it's just there's a lot of judgment calls on it as well. But at the end of the day, again, it really depends on you, the viewer, how you feel about it, what you want to do. Personally, again, I really enjoy it quite a bit, and I think it's one of the best inventions to come out in a long time, in this century at least for sure. So that is my view on fast food.